Alabama's expecting some good news tonight, some more good news possibly this weekend, and then another prospect has set a commitment date. So we got a lot of recruiting to discuss today.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. Jimmy, thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen. Even you, Jimmy. I think you're listening to me. Appreciate that.
Right now.
And so tonight at 6 p.m. on God's time of Central Standard Time, Casey Poe from Texas will be making a commitment. We believe this will be to the University of Alabama. I was talking to Zach Blackerby, the host of Locked On Auburn, just a few minutes ago because I was trying to get something unscrambled with the Locked On stuff. And Zach, who does a marvelous job as the runner of and CEO of all things college Locked On, he said, "Are y'all going to get Casey Poe tonight?" And I said, "I'm pretty sure we are." He said, "Dang it." He said, "We need him so badly." And I said, "Yeah, we need him too. I mean, you can't do enough with offensive linemen." And I just wanted to make this point before I let you go into, I know you've evaluated his film recently, but he said, one thing I don't understand is why Georgia and Alabama get all these offensive linemen to sit on the bench. And I said, I don't think that playing time is as big of an issue anymore. Yes, of course you want to play. That's a given. But in terms of, do you want to play all the time? Well, think about it this way. Some teams could very well be having a 16-game season with the playoff, with expanded playoffs, with a championship game, and all the games in between. And you talk about Alabama next year playing at Wisconsin, at Tennessee, at Oklahoma, at LSU, Georgia and Auburn at home, not to mention all the other schools that are thrown in there. And then potentially playing an SEC title game. And let's say Alabama's not one of the top 4 seeds for whatever reason. With that schedule, it's not crazy to think about. Then if they were to go to the national championship, they would have to play 3 more games. That's 16 total games, if my math is correct. So it's not so much about playing time. It's about keeping everybody healthy enough to continue playing. So I just feel like, hey, everybody's the whole thing about they've got so many offensive linemen. You can't have enough of anything, if you ask me, anymore.
Yeah, and I don't think Alabama's numbers at offensive line are. Alabama would need to sign. I mean, I think right now Alabama's actually under. Alabama only has 13 linemen on scholarship. It's actually a low number, so it's not exactly bringing in offensive linemen to sit on the bench in the sense that Alabama has so many offensive linemen. Now, Alabama does have more good linemen than Auburn has, and I can see why Auburn would consider Casey Poe so important to their recruiting efforts. And Alabama, it's not necessarily because of the numbers, although that is an important factor. What's most important to Alabama is how good this kid is. I mean, he's legit Alabama good is the best way to put it. And at BOL, we've covered his recruitment really well. This is a kid that doesn't mind doing the interviews so much, and we've had several interviews with him. The RPM, the recruiting prediction machine at On3, has got Casey Poe pegged for Alabama. That's been our prediction, at BOL. But anything could happen. This kid was recruited by a lot of quality programs, including Auburn. I think Oklahoma is a real threat. But he commits 6 p.m. on Instagram Live, followed on Instagram Live or BOL. We'll have a lot of information for you there as he makes his choice. I did watch his tape recently and put up a long kind of breakdown of his tape. And let me tell you, this kid is super elite. He is a guard prospect in my mind. He could probably play center, but I like him at guard where he can really use his tenacity. I mean, this is a guy that's extremely physical, extremely tenacious. He plays hard. He plays, I like to say, not to the echo of the whistle, but to the faint echo of the whistle. I mean, the whistle has blown and it's stopped blowing and you can still hear it. So he's still trying to destroy destroy his opponent. And I'm sure he's gotten a handful of penalties over the years. But you love to see that aggressiveness because so many huge kids like him, and this is a big 6'4.5", 285-pound kid who's going to end up being a 300-pound player in college. Some of those kids, you got to have to coach them to play hard. They've been so big their whole lives, they don't necessarily go hard because, frankly, they've been afraid to hurt other kids, when they were younger. And you got to have to coach some aggression into them. That is not the case with Casey Poe. In terms of a comp, I'm not saying he's Barrett Jones. He's not. That's not a fair comp at all because of how good Barrett is. But he's like Barrett Jones for a few reasons. Number one, I see some positional versatility. Casey Poe plays left tackle on his high school team. Of course he does. I mean, that's where you put your best lineman when you're in high school, right? You put him at left tackle. He's projected to be a guard. So, obviously he's going to play there. He can play center. Barrett played all those positions. So he's got positional versatility like Barrett Jones. Also, one of the things that kept Barrett from having a long NFL career, other than injuries, and injuries were a big part of it. But, Barrett wasn't the most athletic guy in the world. I mean, he was athletic, and that's why he was an all-star player at the college level. But Barrett's athleticism wasn't the first line of his NFL, draft scouting report, right? But Barrett was a good player based on what I would say are two T's: toughness and tenacity. Barrett was really tough and tenacious as a blocker. That really describes Casey Poe. So when I say the comp is Barrett Jones, I think the same way you would describe Barrett is a good description of Casey Poe and what he brings to the table. Positional versatility, loves to play football, absolutely loves to play. Toughness, tenaciousness. Got some pretty long arms you see there in the photo. So, maybe he could play tackle, but if not, he's a long-armed guard, which is great for pass protection. I think that's the thing he's going to have to work on the most at the college level. I think he's going to show up a quality run blocker day one. He'll have to work on the pass pro stuff. And again, that's all typical for a lineman. But On three ranks Casey Poe the number one interior offensive line prospect in the country. That's saying a lot. It's a big deal if you're the best guard prospect. If, for instance, in the NFL draft, you can expect your name to be called round one. That's kind of how I look at Casey Poe. He's that good. He will be a guy that could be impactful quickly, which is not a common thing on the offensive line. So all sorts of reasons to be excited about it should Casey Poe select Alabama tonight at 6. I'll be watching on Instagram Live, and we'll have a lot of coverage on BOL, and Luke and I will talk about it extensively tomorrow should he choose Alabama.
Yeah, and again, we expect him to pick Alabama. I mean, that's the expectation, and I put that picture up of him. It's on the thumbnail on YouTube too. Long wingspan, big hands. He's got a smile like he just ran over 6 people. I think that's wonderful. Not in his car, while blocking, by the way. I should throw that in there. Jimmy, it's time now to talk a little bit about FanDuel. You know how much I love FanDuel. You love FanDuel. We all love FanDuel. Take your first swing at betting Major League Baseball on FanDuel and get 10 times. That's 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bet up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's an amazing deal. That's $200 you can spend betting everything from the money line to over-under to will the Braves ever lose again. I say that over and over and over again. Did the National League win last night? I don't even know that. I bet you they did because the Braves are on. Huh?
Yeah, the National League won 3-2, although the large Braves contingent did not do much last night. I think they were 1 for 6 with 5 strikeouts.
Well, all this on FanDuel. You could have bet on the All-Star game last night on FanDuel. This is an app that's safe, it's secure, and here's the biggest thing to me: you get paid instantly. That is so crucial to me. If you're a gambler and you've ever dealt with other spots and you got to wait a week and you got to verify this and do that, you get paid instantly with FanDuel. That is huge. There's no better place to bet on Major League Baseball than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So sign up today. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on. Get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/locked on. FanDuel.com/locked on. FanDuel is an official partner of Major League Baseball. On tomorrow's countdown, or not countdown, Locked On Bama, Locked On Countdown Bama, whatever. We will be talking countdown, and we will be talking probably Casey Poe. And one other thing we should throw out there, Saturday, Caleb Odom announces. He's a tight end. I saw some highlights from him yesterday, just perusing YouTube. Really like this kid a lot. I think he's going to commit to Alabama too. I know you believe the same. Of course, things can change, but we'll talk more about Caleb Odom as the week progresses. Right now, though, I want to talk about Amari Jefferson. This is a kid, a wide receiver, really good player. I think he's down to Alabama, Tennessee, and is it Georgia?
It was Georgia. We believe at BOL that it's probably Alabama or Tennessee at this point.
Okay.
But Georgia was a major player here, and if he has eliminated Georgia, if he has, that they would have been in third, and Georgia did like Amari Jefferson a ton. But really, this looks like Alabama, Tennessee.
First of all, and he's going to announce, I think it's August 5th is what he said. Is that correct? Or August 5th?
Yeah, I know it's early August. I don't have that date in front of me, but I know early August, and the 5th sounds right. I think that's exactly right.
So, and what there's a couple of things that stand out to me. There are so many announcements coming up. I mean, it's crazy. If you're a recruit, Nick, this is awesome. Hey, if you're running a Locked On Bama podcast, this is awesome because now the summer months, which can be kind of dead sometimes, there's announcement after announcement after announcement. Then you get into football season itself, and every day you can talk about something. So there's no problem.
I don't like the recruiting calendar because I don't think it's good for football and not good for the kids, but it's good for Locked On hosts for sure. It's good. Yeah. It's good if you work at BOL and On3 and you work at Locked On, you got a summer full of material now because the recruiting calendar changed. And I put it, Luke, when me and you were growing up, the biggest recruiting month in terms of when we would tear up the Cecil Hurt hotline, the Tuscaloosa News, was January, the month leading up to signing day. January was big recruiting month. Now the biggest recruiting month, in my opinion, is July. July is when kids make their decisions because they visited in June. They go on, the coaches come to see them in April and May. They come to see the coaches in June and participate in camp. And then they make decisions in July because they want to be done before their football season starts. Because when their football season starts, pretty much the moment their football season's over, boom, it's signing day. So that the recruiting calendar sort of funneled everything into July and maybe early August. And boy, Alabama, I don't know how many commits Alabama started this month with, something like 5. And now it's at 12, and it could be in the next week of 10 days up to 14 or so. That's and with more to come, like you said, it's the new world, and this is the recruiting calendar.
Would Amari Jefferson's commitment affect Perry Thompson? All? You had a look on your face like I was muted. That's why I stopped in the middle of that. And I was like, crap.
I didn't mean that. No, I don't think so. I think it's unrelated to Perry Thompson. And I think with Amari, here's the interesting thing. He's committed or had been committed to play baseball at Tennessee. This is a baseball player. This is not by the way, hey, coach, I'm going to play football there. Can I try baseball? No. Amari Jefferson is a baseball player. So he's going to play baseball wherever he goes, and it will be a huge part of his decision-making process. He's already committed to Tennessee baseball at one point. So I think it's fair, Luke, for us to say, for Alabama to land this guy, we got to beat Tennessee because we know he likes Tennessee baseball. Alabama baseball's got a better product than we've had in quite a while, to be honest. I think Alabama baseball might be more attractive right now than it's been, even though we got a brand new coach. But, Tennessee baseball's been really successful under their current administration, which hasn't undergone changes and scandals like Alabama baseball. So I think on the baseball end, we sort of have to overcome Tennessee, not to mention that's his home state, not to mention he's an East Tennessee kid. He plays at the Baylor School in Chattanooga, not too far from Knoxville. So I'm not sure we're sort of up in the air at BOL right now. We're not saying Amari to Alabama. We're not saying Amari to Tennessee. We're just saying, gee, we're not sure here. This is legitimate recruiting drama. So stay tuned as we gather intel and information. He's going to make more trips, by the way. He's going to go to Tennessee. I think off the top of my head, July 28th. He's going to visit Tennessee one more time, and then the very next day, he's coming to Tuscaloosa again, July 29th. This is a situation. Look, I talk about it all the time, and I get the feeling not everybody believes me. But this is yet another situation where a commitment date is set. I would bet the kid doesn't know. I would bet Amari Jefferson has not made up his mind. Yet everybody wants to ask me and you, where's he going to go? How would we know if the kid doesn't know?
Well, one other thing we want to throw out there, Nick Saban continues to go international with Steve Mbue. Is that, am I saying that right?
I don't know. No, here's my answer. No, you're not saying it right. And B, I have no idea how to say it yet. As it gets closer to maybe this will be Alabama, I will investigate. But for now, as Tim Watts put it at BOL, for now, we call him Steve.
I like that. Now there's a picture of him. And if you look at this picture, if you're having to watch YouTube, he looks rather large. Then I put him next to, oh my God, Isaiah Hastings, I think that is, right?
Yeah, that's Hastings.
Mm-hmm. Look at Isaiah Hastings. He is a monster.
Well, yeah. Steve is, I would admit Steve for a defensive lineman is small framed. Some people are even telling Steve that he's a jack linebacker. He's built a little bit like Edric Houston, the 5-star from Buford. But I tell you, he's also built like, and I mean it as a compliment, but his physique and frame is sort of similar to Isaiah Funga, who's already committed to Alabama, the defensive lineman from Central Phoenix City. He's similarly framed to him, and it's just kind of what's available this year as a defensive line. But he's a real interesting prospect because he hasn't played a ton of football. He's a new name, but he came to Alabama's camp and worked out, as we saw in the photo with Isaiah Hastings, and Alabama quickly offered. And again, you're in July. Signing day is not in December. This is not the B list, people. If Alabama offered and wants you, you're on the A list. Alabama doesn't, and with the portal, by the way, we can spend all the show on this. With the transfer portal, I think the B list, the whole idea of a B list has been crumpled up, thrown away, and set on fire. I mean, why ever go to a B list when there's going to be 1,000 kids in the portal
who are proven commodities one way or the other?
Correct.
All right, Jimmy, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the next guy on your countdown. That's Elijah Pritchett. And we're back. And we talk about Elijah Pritchett today. And one reason that he's interesting is because we talked about Caden Proctor the other day. And one thing you kept saying was you feel like Elijah Pritchett has the upper hand on Caden Proctor right now on the offensive line battle. That's why you have him ahead. But one thing you and I both believe, Caden Proctor could make up a lot of ground and pass him. That is no knock on Elijah Pritchett. That is more belief in Caden Proctor.
That's right. I have Pritchett ahead of Proctor right now on my rankings, simply because Pritchett is ahead of Proctor right now, and I'm not going to presume that Proctor is going to beat him out. So I have Pritchett ahead of him. But you may notice that Pritchett is just slightly ahead of Proctor by just a few spots. So this is sort of okay. I'll admit to hedging my bets a little bit here, and by that what I mean is I do have Pritchett starting at left tackle for Alabama, and Proctor just a few spots behind, because my prediction would be at some point Proctor takes over at left tackle at some point. That's me telling you guys Caden Proctor is basically the new Evan Neal, and it has no knock on Elijah Pritchett at all, who I think is going to be not just good. I think Elijah Pritchett is going to be a great player at Alabama. There just might not be room for him in the starting 5 this season in his year 2. But that does not mean that Pritchett won't be a multi-year starter at Alabama and eventually a pro football player. When Pritchett showed up, he knocked out the coaches. This was way before fall camp. This is during summer work, and the coaches were able to observe him doing some things. and the football staff was super high on him. They projected him as, hey, this guy is probably going to play this fall. Then unfortunately he tore his pec muscle in the weight room, and he had to miss not just fall camp, which is big, by the way. When you're a freshman, missing fall camp is huge. You miss out on so much learning. But he did, and he missed, well into the season. I think by Austin Peay, by late November, he was ready to play, and he did play down the stretch. Once he was cleared to play, and it was like game 10, he actually got out there and played some. That was at the end of games, end of game situation. But how about this, Luke, though? After missing so much of his true freshman fall and not being here last spring, he missed all that. You know where he started out this spring? First team left tackle. Then he held on to it for 15 practices. He did struggle a bit on A-Day, but, it's ones against ones. He's playing against the starting outside linebackers, or as of that day, they were the ones. And it was a struggle for him a bit, and we shouldn't be surprised. He's a freshman. He missed a lot of last fall. Of course, there's going to be some struggle times for him, but overall, the coaches could not be more thrilled with him. They really believe in him as a long-term, really good player at Alabama. He may be a starter this season. He may miss it by one spot and be Alabama's sixth guy. But if you're into buying stock in Alabama players, buy stock in Elijah Pritchett. Maybe his stock took a little dip after A-Day, making this a great buy opportunity, because there won't be many great buy opportunities with him. His stock's going to be pricey one day. But real good player. That's why he's ranked where he is, this high in the countdown. And I'm excited about Elijah Pritchett's future. Could also move to guard. I think that's possible. But the fact that Alabama's coaches stuck him at left tackle with such little experience as he has should tell you all you need to know about what the staff feels about him.
That's what I was going to say. Is there a universe where Pritchett and Caden Proctor are on the same offensive line together?
Yeah. I think that would involve benching Darren Dalcourt, which is very possible. Very possible. There's a lot of fans out there that have that opinion, that think that. Fans that believe, hey, Dalcourt's not great, and maybe he shouldn't be starting. That's what a lot of fans think. I think Dalcourt's pretty good, and with his wealth of experience, he's going to be hard to move off the field. But it is possible that one of Proctor or Pritchett has moved inside, and then it would be Dalcourt out of a job. We absolutely don't rule that out. I don't think that will be the case. If I'm going to go out on a limb, Luke, I would say there is a possibility that we may rotate at tackle this fall, playing Proctor, Pritchett, and Latham in what amounts to a rotation. And that sounds like fantasy land not too long ago, but we did it at guard last season, and it worked. We played three guards and rotated them: Booker, Javion Cohen, and Emil Ekiyor. They rotated, and it worked. So I don't think we should rule out that happening even at tackle.
All right, everybody, that's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with Casey Poe info, some more countdown stuff, maybe an update on Brandon Miller, who actually has really come around in the summer league. And I know there are a lot of people still going to follow him. I'm a huge Brandon Miller fan, so I can't wait to follow him more. And I'm glad to see him finally picking up some. So until next time, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.